Hey there, my name is Lexi, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of LexChat. This is a show dedicated to music and other creatives where we help each other to become better creatives and to brainstorm, share resources, and help each other learn more and all that good stuff. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you are new here, hey, my name is Lexi. If you are returning, what's up? Thank you so much for coming back. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And today we are talking about submitting to radio stations. All right. So some of you may or may not know that I do coffee dates, virtual coffee dates on Instagram at LexCATL. That's at LEXCATL. I also do in-person coffee dates for anyone who lives in Atlanta. So as of the date of this recording, the last coffee date I did was this past Sunday. Today is Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, 25, 24, 23, 22, 20. That was July 21st was the last in-person coffee date. So pretty much every 2 weeks. First Sunday of the month is the virtual coffee date. Third Sunday of the month in person in Atlanta for anybody who lives in Atlanta. So at this previous coffee date, shout out to Hugh Steph and Shalon Music. They came out for the coffee date. I was so excited. We went to St. Germain's French Bakery and Cafe in the city, and it was super cute. In the future, though, I will not be going on a weekend because the price of parking is ridiculous, okay? I spent $40 to go park and have coffee and a dessert. It was delicious. But I think I will explore some other options that don't require paid parking. Or if there is paid parking, then I'll offer to take people. Y'all just got to meet me at the studio, and I got a limited number of seats in my car, something like that, you know? But all of that to say, at this latest coffee date, the main objective was, yes, Mr. Flash Holes, $40. Parking was like $18 and some change. And then for my coffee and my dessert, it was like $12, $13, $14, something like that. But the main objective of this coffee date was to go over the college radio directory that I got. And if you're not in the coffee date group on my Instagram, then send me a message and I can add you to that. I am growing the community, actively looking to grow it. And so bonus points if you're in Atlanta, but if not, you don't have to be in Atlanta because I do a monthly virtual coffee date on Instagram. So let me know if you want to be a part of that group and I'll add you to it. But at the in-person coffee date, the latest thing that I've done is I've sent a directory of college radio stations. And I got this directory online. I will resell it to you if you want it. But all the radio stations in the U.S. listed in alphabetical order by state. So alphabetical order by state. It's a great resource, I think. It's a great thing to have. And getting into radio is something that I want to do. And it's something that I want to be better at as far as marketing. I tell y'all all the time, I too struggle with the budgeting of being an artist because it's just so damn expensive to be an artist. And so I'm always looking for creative ways that I can make stuff happen on my own, on a limited budget or on a non-existent budget. And so the college directory was $25. I felt like that's a good investment to make. And anyone who's a part of the coffee date crew, anyone who said they wanted it, I sent it to them. And the people who showed up at the coffee date in person, my goal was to come up with a plan. How can we help each other to market our music? How can we help each other to submit to these radio stations? So I actually want to go through a few of the pointers that the radio directory goes over because it is a great resource to teach you a little bit about what is radio, like what kind of radio, what's the benefit of doing radio. Some people don't believe in radio anymore because of social media and because most people are consuming on like a SoundCloud or a YouTube, right? Most people are consuming on a Spotify, Apple, Tidal, things of that nature. But I'm not going to give up on radio. And even though I don't listen to radio anymore myself, I'm not going to ignore that it's still probably a really great and viable source, a viable way of gaining listeners and bringing back more traffic to my website, to my music. And in turn, that turns to sales and merch and all of that good stuff. So some of the notes. There are two types of radio stations. There's commercial and non-commercial. So the commercial radio stations, those are going to be the big stations that play the major artists. They're going to have most likely a top 40 rotation of the same songs playing day in and day out. And it's most likely going to be label affiliated. People who will most likely get their music played on commercial radio will be commercial and mainstream artists who are signed. Some stations may have DJs with their own shows who have a little more freedom, usually late at night, like 2 to 4 a.m. But for the most part, those commercial radio stations, they're going to be label affiliated. They're going to be mainstream artists tied. So be on the lookout for that. The DJs who might have their own shows. So if you could figure out, and I know it's a lot of people. It's a lot of people to keep track of, a lot of things to keep track of. But if you can find DJs who take like independent and local artists and throw them into a rotation, those DJs have a little bit more wiggle room. The shows might be at weird hours, but if you can develop relationships with those DJs, then you will have a better chance of expanding your reach as an artist. These DJs may be good to connect with and keep in touch with because they look for local and new music around the city. So that's a commercial radio. There's also non-commercial radio. So typically at or around college campuses, they don't have commercials, so they don't have to answer to corporate interests. That is the most important part of non-commercial radio stations. They do not have to look for they don't have to look out for corporate interests of whatever telecommunications company is overseeing them, right? So they're mostly listener centered. They're concerned about the interests of the listener. And then the sub context of non-commercial is non-commercial student run radio stations. So why college radio? Do it for the radio spins. It's an opportunity to get more exposure to sell your merchandise. It's another music placement. You never know who's listening. You never know who has access to these stations. So it's another way of placing your music. It can help to advertise when you are touring or when you have a show in town. Figure out which colleges are close by and invite college students, invite college students to your event. And you can start with the local stations in your state, in your city, but in your state. So I was actually surprised that the college directory, sorry, there's stuff on here. I was actually surprised that the college directory didn't have more stations in Atlanta and just in Georgia in general. There's only 3 listed on Georgia. So I was actually really surprised about that. But there are well over 100 listings on this directory broken down by, I haven't even gone through it. I have only gone through the Southeast market. And I'm going to get into this in a little bit. You know what? Let's go ahead and get into it. So the plan, right? Got this directory, and now we know the difference between commercial and non-commercial. So we are going after the non-commercial stations when it comes to radio. And these are the college campus stations. So you go from, here's in my mind, the natural progression of things. You go from local to state, from state to regional, from regional to national, from national to international. So to start with, I looked at what is my state and then which stations are listed for my state. Luckily, it's not going to be very difficult in Georgia because the directory only has those 3 stations. Yes, inevitably, there's got to be more than 3, right? But I'm going to stick with these 3 because that's what the directory gave me. Alrighty. And so the plan is start with these 3 stations, start locally. And the recommendation that they put in here is to try to work a record for 7 to 10 weeks. They say 7 weeks. I would tell you 7 to 10 weeks to send your submissions and do your follow-ups and try to get connections with these radio DJs and with these MDs. What is an MD? An MD is a musical director. So a musical director, that's the person who is overseeing the submissions, and they're kind of like deciding who is going to be able to get into rotation and who will not. So very powerful player in the radio space, the MD, the music director, right? So 7 to 10 weeks, the best way to do this is to send by email because we are in a digital era. The best way to get this done is to send it by email. You can send physical CDs if you want to. I would say though, the most cost-effective way to do this is to do it by email. And the guide already provides those emails for you. So when sending an email, they give you a couple examples of how you can format it, like a template kind of. They don't really provide a template, but they tell you how you should format it. So simplest way, in the subject line, music submission, and then in parentheses, what genre are you submitting for? So that is your subject line, music submission, and then in parentheses, whatever genre it is. So I'm dropping a song called Labels Paid For, produced by Gray Keys, right? And it's a mixture of me singing and rapping. So in my subject line, I would put music submission, parentheses, hip hop R&B, close parentheses. And that would be my subject line. And then included in the body, you want to include a stream and download link. And I thought it was interesting that they said to provide a download link because, I've heard before that you should not put files into an email because you will bog down someone's storage and it can be seen as kind of rude. I don't know how true that is, but I do know for myself that it does get kind of annoying when you weren't expecting something to come into your inbox. And especially if it's like one person constantly sending a bunch of attachments, your inbox and your email can fill up pretty quickly and cause you to have to try to you might have to pay for more storage because this person sent all this stuff. Either you keep it or you delete it and run the risk of not hearing, some stuff that could be really good in there. But you should provide a stream and download link. So if the music is already released, go to Spotify, find the link for the song, make a hyperlink in the email. If you're on Apple Music, I would just say do links for all of this stuff. I think even better if you have one of those hyperlinks, Hyped It or Here Now, or even a link tree that would automatically send people to the different streaming platforms that you have. I think that would be really good. And then provide a download link. For me personally, I think this would be easy because I have a website and I can make it so that when someone clicks on something on my website, it will download the song. So I can do that. I'm not sure how y'all want to do that, but I would say go ahead and take the chance of just go ahead and attach it in the email. Attach your song that you want played. Make sure that it's clean because nobody wants to deal with explicit lyrics. And as artists, you should be making versions of your songs unless you just are bent on a certain demographic, right? But you should be making songs that's family friendly. So whether that's edited or whether that means you have innuendo or it's everything's in metaphor, you should have clean versions of your songs and send it to the DJs. You cannot have explicit things playing on the regular commercial radio. Treat the non-commercial with the same respect. I mean, there might be a little more leeway. You might have to follow less rules because it's non-commercial. And so they don't have to service those corporate interests like we mentioned before, right? But it's always a good idea to give your music the chance to be heard by a wide audience. And part of being able to have that be possible is to also have clean versions of your music. So it's more likely to be played in any environment. So that's what I would say there. You should also include the artwork into the email. So a brief message, music submission with the genre in parentheses, the body of the work, brief message like who are you, what your name is, what's the name of the song. I'm trying to see if I can get this in rotation, something along those lines, right? Or if you want to do a one sheet, you can attach that as well. And a one sheet is a quick outline of you as an artist and what you are sending. So I think that I want to go into Canva and I want to create like a graphic one sheet, just because I think that would be a lot cuter. And it'll be more eye-catching, So I'll probably experiment with that. But yeah, list of songs, label them clean or explicit, list your best tracks, artists that you may sound like, what listeners say about you, and just remember to keep it simple. And then they say to consider sending promo and merch items. I would say, just because I know that, budget can be a big deal for artists, maybe wait until you've kind of garnered a little bit of a repertoire with these people. A rapport. Why am I twisting my words today? Maybe wait until you build a rapport with these people, and then, either just to say thanks for chatting with me, or if your music does eventually get into rotation, thanks for putting my song in rotation. Here's a hat. Shout out to St. Pat, because he actually provided this show and tell hat, which is really cool. It's what I'm wearing today. St. Pat in the building. Shout out to St. Pat. So yeah, y'all can get his merch by hitting him up on his website, which I'll let y'all know about that later. I actually don't know what his website is. But yeah, you can consider sending merch once you build a rapport with these people. Thanks for emailing me back and forth, or thank you for putting my song into rotation. Here's a complimentary thing that goes with it. So if the project was called Show and Tell, then Pat has hats that say Show and Tell. If the project is called Love Reset, I have Love Reset bookmarks. I've got wristbands, I've got lighters. I don't know if y'all smoke or if you drink. If you smoking, there's a lighter with a built-in bottle opener that is for sale, especially if you come to my shows. If you got posters, send it, because they might hang it up in their studio. You just never know. But I think it's a good thing to send some merchandise and some promo stuff, and it gives something to touch. It gives something tangible to connect to your music, right? And then the keys to following up once you send these emails: put yourself on a calendar, put yourself on a schedule. After 2 weeks, follow up by phone or by email. Follow up with the MD during their office hours. It does caution you to make sure that you kind of research what those office hours are, so you're not just pestering them all hours of the day. I would say follow up with email, and then maybe another 2 weeks later, follow up by phone, and keep that rotation going for the 7 to 10 week period that we mentioned earlier, right? 7 to 10 weeks to work it and try to see if you can get it into rotation. And if you can, try to maintain a relationship with those MDs and those DJs playing your music. And just put it on the calendar so you can remind yourself so you don't forget. And what should you include in the reminder email or the follow-up email? You can ask things like, hey, this is LexC. Did you receive my record titled Labels Paid For? Were you able to view it? Were you able to listen to it? Are you going to add it to the rotation? Is there anything else you need from me? Just follow up questions, kind of asking for some action. Like, hey, is this happening? Kind of thing, just to see where you are. Hopefully you get a response. If you don't, then wait another 2 weeks and see what happens. Okay. So yeah, the plan that I came up with: hit up these stations for 7 to 10 weeks. All right. If you can get a group of people to do this together, that would be great. Shout out again to Shalon Music and Hugh Steffner for being at the coffee date. We're going to do this, the three of us. Other people said they were interested. I don't know how true that is, but I might see if they want to join. But I think it's better. Here's my thoughts anyway. So like the three of us, right? The three of us who were at the coffee date the other day, we share a folder with each other with our songs, with the links to the music and the cover art to the music. And then I'm going to be sharing an email template, a template for the email. And I think I'll also create like a one sheet that I can share with them on Canva, and they can kind of plug and play their own thing. I have to still do that. But my plan is, right, we send separate emails. When you send the email, CC that other artist on there as a way to help stay accountable. Like, hey, this person is actually sending stuff on your behalf, trying to submit on your behalf. Either do separate emails for each person's single, or include all those songs in that one email. And then whoever the MD or the DJ is, they can decide which of those songs they'll be taking from. So that way, even if your song doesn't get selected, you are helping another artist push forward with their material. You're helping to pour into another artist, and that energy is going to come back to you tenfold, 100-fold. But you got to be willing to, side note, you got to be willing to give what you want to receive. So even if you don't get your chance right now, the fact that you are sowing into someone else, people do remember that, and they will show love to you later on down the line when they remember and they realize like, hey, this person was with me in the trenches. We got it out the mud. So, I don't want there to be any ego with this. It's really just finding people who say they're willing and now putting them to the test. Like, are we actually going to help each other? Let's see how far we can get doing this thing together. And my prayer for that is that we help each other to get some notoriety. And you know what? Bonus points if we all had collaborative songs together. Let's say that I did a song with Steph, right? Him and Shalon already got music. So any attention that she gets with that song, he also gets that attention because he was the producer, right? If he and I did a collaboration, any attention that I get for the song, he would get attention for the song because we're both tied to it. So that's kind of how we can kind of finesse the system, and help each other out at the same time. Collaborate, find your tribe, find your people, and then help each other to promote. That's my plan for this. And once we do the 7 to 10 week work, like working the rotation for these records, focus on the Southeast region, because again, the funnel that I'm thinking of, like the progression I'm thinking of, local, state, region, national, international. But we got to start local first. And local is just 3 stations listed in Georgia. So we're going to start with the state because it's only 3 stations that they gave us actually. But yeah, that's the plan right there. And if you want to, maybe the next week you add a new song and you do the same rotation of, okay, let me put it on my calendar. 2 weeks from today, I need to do a follow-up email. 2 weeks from that, I need to do a phone email. 2 weeks from that, another follow-up email. And you do those follow-ups at 2-week increments for the 7 to 10 weeks until you get a response. Or if you don't get a response, either keep trying or maybe cross that station off the list or find a new contact to replace that. So I guess just move on, right? There are plenty of stations listed in the directory to move on to, and let that become part of your bi-weekly routine would be to reach out to DJs, reach out to music directors, and see if you can get your music on these college radio stations and hopefully gain some traction, And you never know, you might be invited to come perform at these colleges. I've done a couple of college shows a long time ago, but I was invited to perform at fashion shows that some of the colleges hosted, and that was a really good time. And it was fun, And it's a younger crowd, and it's a chance to just connect with potentially new fans. So yeah, what's in the Southeast region? There's Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and then they also have Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands, but I didn't see any stations listed for Puerto Rico or the Virgin Islands, but those are the states included in the Southeast region. So when I'm done with Georgia, I'm just going to go down the list, I think. I was going to do like geographically what's next. That would be Alabama or Florida, right? Or South Carolina, because those are the next closest in driving distance for me. So I have thought about that, but I think I'll just go down the list because most of these are within like a 6-hour driving radius. Most of them. But yeah, so I'm really excited about this. And I want to thank Hugh Steffner and Shalon Music again for joining me on the coffee date, the in-person coffee date. I really enjoyed myself. I always think it's super cute when we actually had coffee this time, because normally I'm just drinking water or some tea. We actually had coffee at this coffee date. So I'm very proud of that. And I'm very excited to have people that will be working with me. And I'm excited to build the community aspect. And, we can start with this college directory and see how it works, helping one another out. So thank you so much for listening today. I hope that you got some valuable information from this. I hope I got those wheels spinning in your head. I hope I gave you some ideas. And yeah. Oh, you know what? If I do get I forgot to say this part, relationship building, right? Building rapport. If I get asked, the reason why I'm sticking with the Southeast region, because it will be easier for me to just drive up there or maybe catch a quick flight. I don't know. But if I can get an in-person radio interview, then I'm definitely going to do that. If the song gets in rotations, pull up to the station with the hats, with the merch, with the t-shirts, all that kind of stuff. So yeah. But if y'all found this information useful, then please make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell to be notified each and every time I post a new piece of content. Comment down below if you found this information useful, or if you're listening on a podcasting platform, then leave a review for this episode and let me know that you enjoyed it and that it's helpful. If you have questions, you can leave questions in those sections as well. But yeah, before I get out of here, another shout out to Saint Pat in the building. His name is Saint Pat. He's got a song, Show and Tell, and this is the hat that comes along with that. So y'all check that out. Shout out to my patrons, Mr. Flat Shoals, Eldon, and Alton. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. Your support helps me to be able to bring more valuable content to other creatives, like how we're doing with these Lex Chats. So I appreciate you guys so much. Also show some love to Magic Mind. You can go to magicmind.com/Lexi20 to get 20% off of your order. And Magic Mind is a mental performance elixir that will help you to get more energy, more focus, and it gets rid of brain fog. Yeah. It just helps. It helps you to stay focused and get some tasks knocked out. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, Lexi20 is the code. Go to magicmind.com/Lexi20 for 20% off of your order for a one-time purchase or for a subscription. Alrighty. And yeah, be on the lookout for new music. I'm dropping on the 6th of every month. The next release is Labels Paid For, Lexi and Great Keys. Great Keys produced it. Very excited about that. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. I hope you enjoyed. My name is Lexi. Until next time, peace. Gucci, Prada, and double CC. They be in design, copy and repeat. They really came in on a sample.